All right, and we are live. I am so excited. Today is a little bit unusual. Normally you're used to seeing my partner in crime, Sharon Gill, who's a much better interviewer than me, a much better speaker than me. But today we're here to celebrate something that I think I'm the most aptly prepared to discuss, which is excitedly, our company became part of the list of the fastest growing private companies in the United States as measured by Inc. 5000. And I just want to read some stats because you don't really know who you're in the company with unless you kind of look at this in this way. So this year, 2023, it says meet the fastest growing private companies in America. $358 billion in revenue. I mean, staggering. 1.1 plus million jobs created, and 5,000 examples of how to scale a business. I loved that because it really just wraps up in one sentence what private industry in the United States is all about. We are the heartbeat of America. We are the American dream. And it's amazing that there are organizations like this that create these methodologies to measure and promote what people are doing. So I'm so excited to know that Total Health made this list. We actually came in at number 1811. I founded this company 8.5 years ago. Looking back, I mean, my first meeting, I lost $27,000 on a personal credit card. And here today, we are forced to be reckoned with. So today I'm going to take a little bit of the back seat and be interviewed by someone else who falls into the category of an entrepreneur, someone who has chased her dream after amassing incredible expertise. She is the founder and principal of AMS Strategies, and probably one of the most talented public relations individuals I've ever worked with. So I'm really humbled and glad to be able to be interviewed by Andy, and I'll ask her to just introduce herself and then dive right in.
Wow, that intro. You're talking me up, Sarah. Thank you. I'm Andy Skolnick, AMS Strategies, PR agency specializing in oncology and medical education. And I am so honored to be working with Sarah and to have watched her company and Total Health just grow over the last year. It's been incredible what they've been able to accomplish. So I am just so honored to kind of dig into the nitty gritty, Sarah, to talk about, how you got to where you are and how Total Health has made its first appearance on the Inc. 5000, which is an incredible accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank
you. To kick off our conversation, Sarah, how has being a woman in medical leadership impacted just the trajectory of your career?
Yeah, it's such as a kind of woman entrepreneur, and I even think as women leaders, you always have to wear that badge, even if you don't want to, meaning, I don't know that there's any man that's ever asked, how does being a man make you so successful or whatever. So it's something that's kind of a double-edged sword because in one way, you're so proud to represent the power of a woman, especially a working woman who's also a mom, a wife, all the other things that we all are. And we still manage to kind of climb to the top with pursuing our passions and perfecting our processes. But I think the reality is that there still is so far to go because you are constantly being kind of second guessed, especially in male dominated industries like healthcare. And I think when you add a layer of, are you a woman who is a woman of color or a woman who is part of the LGBTQ community or a woman who is not married, like all of a sudden there's other things that you're dealing with that you kind of have to make allowances for and build your narrative and your story around. So for me, I don't necessarily ever think of myself as a woman in business, but I am so proud to be representative of all that women can do because we are the ones that just silently toil managing all else that we have to manage. And when you do get recognitions like this, it just feels like, oh, okay, somebody sees me.
It's like you don't need validation, but like you kind of do sometimes.
Yeah,
It never hurts. Yeah. Yep.
absolutely.
Great. So speaking of challenges, which there are probably many that you have faced throughout your journey of building Total Health, what are some of the most memorable moment in times or challenges that you experienced as you kind of really work toward turning Total Health into a profitable venture?
Yeah, I remember, I worked full time when I was starting this business, and I paid two interns out of my salary. I was a new mom. We were renters at the time of our home, and I was so scared to take the jump from a, a paycheck every 2 weeks to, oh my gosh, I'm really on my own. That's probably one of the biggest memories I have. The day that I was like, I no longer need to work for someone. I have my team, I have my plan, I have my provision, and I'm moving forward. Another kind of major milestone for me is when we earned the trust of ASCO. For us in cancer, ASCO represents kind of a lot of what we do. They're the largest advocacy and education organization in the world. We are their longest standing private partner for their licensing education department, which makes me really proud because we're in the company of things like state societies and big academic centers. Um, and then when we were chosen by ESMO, the European Medical Advocacy and Education Organization, called ESMO, when we were chosen by ESMO to be their exclusive North American provider, that was another major milestone for me. But I always try to measure my successes in the little things. I kind of consider myself a giver, and I love that I'm able to spoil my team with like uber lavish gifts just because. Those moments for me are bigger than kind of those corporate contracts. Those are the moments where I get to see on the face of someone who maybe has never been given something of such like expense, or, the bougie thing, where they're like, for me, and you really get to share that experience with them. So those are some of the milestones
And
that
not to mention, that fosters such a collaborative, just such an incredible culture, which has clearly aided in, the company's overall success. Like culture is such a big deal. I've worked at many companies and know like it's just motivating to work in a place where you feel appreciated. So it's so great that you treat your team like that.
yeah. Yeah, I made it kind of like my internal mantra, like, the treat others the way you want to be treated. I almost
Mm-hmm.
made it like treat others the way I was never treated. And
Love
it
that.
doesn't mean you have to do that. Sometimes it's as simple as like, thank you so much for, spending this extra hour on a Saturday evening doing something you weren't asked to do. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
being seen, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
so undervalued
Yep.
today
Yep.
in corporate America.
Absolutely. Yep. So the growth you've achieved, if let me just read some numbers really quick. 50% year over year revenue increase in 2022, and more than 300% since 2018. One in five, this is a stat that probably a lot of people are familiar with. One in five businesses fail within the first year.
Mm.
To get more specific, 20% of businesses fail in the first year, 30% in the second, and 50% by year five. How did you avoid the pitfalls and not only avoid them, overcome these obstacles, but put the company on a track to experience and achieve like that incredible growth so quickly?
You know, so I think on the other side of things, like the part where CEOs write books, these are the 10 steps of getting here. On the other side of things, you kind of rewrite the narratives, like, look at all that I planned to do. But In talking to the people that are listening to this now, whether you're managing a department or you're leading, a small team, or you're an entrepreneur yourself, or you've got a huge company, that so much of what we do is almost like accidental blessings. Like, you do the right thing in hopes that you're going to grow in the way that you want to. And for so many businesses, they do the right thing and that doesn't happen. And I think when you talk about like 1 in 5 or 50% of or whatever fail, it's like, first of all, the idea that we would call learning failure, we need to like change our vocabulary. But also, when we win, sometimes it's not as easy as looking and saying, oh, what did we do to win? Here's the 5 steps that we took, because it's not, you can't replicate it. It really had so much magic in it. You were at the right place at the right time, or someone was in the right room, or you struck up with the right friendship, or whatever it was that got you. And so I think it's less about how did we and more about every step of the way. Every time we crossed the new threshold, there was that moment of reflection of, how do I remain excellent in the services that we provide? How do I share how grateful I am for everybody that helped get us to that moment or that milestone? And then how do you dream in a safe space? And I think, if I'm being really honest, for the last year, I've kind of been dreaming in this unsafe space because we've been blessed with so many resources that I'm like, the sky is the limit. And in the last few months, I've had to like rein it all in and say, wait a minute. I am the steward of a company that made it on the Inc. 5000 list. Like, not because we're there do you start saying all that got you here. It's really like, how do I responsibly take care of what we've earned? And then how do I responsibly plan for what's next for the company? So I would say to anyone who's looking for that kind of magic formula, it's grind. It is grind. It's work hard. Never take your eye off the goal. Be kind while you're doing it. Recognize your team, and really stop in the moments where you say, like, they picked me. Like, stop in those moments and realize it's for no other reason than you've been doing really good work. So that's how I would probably better or more honestly describe how we got, 300, we grew 300% in the last few years.
Well, if that doesn't just like capture who you are as a person and as a leader, I don't know what does. Okay, we've got a comment from Peter. Sarah's enthusiasm and charisma is infectious. Agreed, Peter, agreed. This is why I love talking to you, Sarah, in any capacity. You want to be a part of what she is doing, even if you don't really know what you will be doing for her.
Interesting. A little bit like the mafia. You're like,
Yep. And like, so what do you think when you hear feedback like that? Like, is that the type of leader you envisioned yourself to be?
Yeah. I'm a leader that really prioritizes, like, how do we build trust? First of all, how do we recognize each other? How do we understand the reward, the love language of each other? And then what can I do to earn your trust and never lose it? Yeah, that really sums up. When I read things like that, I really feel like I'm doing the right things, because that's exactly who I want to be. I want to be that person.
And especially in this like virtual world we're living in now, to have that type of recognition toward human beings and remember we're all humans, and to treat people like that, it's not as often that you come by that as you should. It shouldn't be kind of rare.
Yes.
Shout out from Madison. Sarah, so proud and thankful to be a part of this one of a kind team.
Yes, I saw Raina posted something. This is one thing that I do want to stop and say. She said, practicing radical giving always. I just need to say, like, there is no principle that makes sense more to me that's like an impossible principle, which is the principle of, if you are, I'm a Christian, I'm a person that really believes that my work is as much a calling as it is, it's a set of skills that I have. I 100% trust that a little, if I'm looking at my resources and saying, I've got a big thing in front of me, but look, I don't have the resources to get it done. I am the person that takes that little bit and says, if I give this away, like if I completely give it away, and I just trust that God's going to put in my path what I need to get to the thing that He called me to do, He's going to prove Himself. My whole professional life, that has been true. I have yet to test the God that I serve in business, in my personal life, in my family, in my friendships. I have yet to test that and Him not come through. So when Raina talks about practice radical giving, it's one of our core values at Total Health. It's like, if we've got something and someone needs it, and you're thinking like, yeah, but what am I going to have? Double down and give it away, because there will always be that supernatural return, that 300% growth that you're like, what? That will always happen when we're practicing that radical generosity.
Mm-hmm. So 5 years from now, or let's say 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, where are we? Where's Total Health? And with that operating under all of those practices, how is that going to impact the next 5 years?
Yeah, the medical education as a whole is changing. We're seeing it, we're feeling it, we're trying to navigate through it in a lot of ways. COVID changed everything for humans, not just here, for humans. People recognize how precious time is. People realize that there are so many options. What used to be impossible, it's now like, why did we think that was impossible?
Right. Yeah.
So medical education is changing. Something else that's happening in our industry, in the medical education space, is patients are becoming a lot more discerning. They're capable of managing and handling a lot more information and sharing in the decisions that get them from diagnosis to survivorship. And in a lot of ways, even making decisions about hospice and end of life care. We used to be a society that it was like we waited for the doctor to say what the plan was, or what he or she thought. And now it's kind of like we walk into the doctor's office with all of our own information that they now have to filter and answer. And I recognize that that too is a double-edged sword, because sources of information have all different levels of evidence. But at the same time, patients are becoming prime and center in the care, which they should. So the next few years for Total Health is going to be in the development of a lot more patient-centric resource, whether it's, software applications, whether it's medical education or wellness and care programs. We're moving into that space. And another area that I'm really excited and also a little bit terrified, but terrified in a great way, is we're moving into the realm of being the first medical education company, actually the first any private company that specifically has written a clinical trial for young women with breast cancer who are in the minority groups. So for the first one we're launching, it's for Black women with breast cancer, and then we'll open that up to women who are of Hispanic descent. And this is an area too where I think Total Health can lead, because now that we've earned and gained the trust of tens of thousands of healthcare providers in the US, we can transfer that and use that platform to socialize how we can change the way people live. So that's super exciting, even though there's a lot of unknowns. It's that same principle of, all right, God, I gave away the thing that I got really good at. And now I'm trusting that you're going to make me exactly who I need to be to get these other things done.
Yep. Just remaining open to opportunities and being able to adapt and be nimble, which is why you are in the position that you're in.
Yes.
All right, Maureen, question from Maureen. What are the 3 most important habits to be a successful entrepreneur when you are in the grind and need to stay at your best? Great question. I would like to know this too. Any suggestions for leaders who want to succeed?
I think I think important habits are, one, every day is a new day. No matter how bad the last day was, keep your mindset that every day is fresh. You have a fresh set of everything, fresh set of energy, fresh set of opportunities, fresh set of solutions. So one habit is to not get lost in the weeds of what's going wrong. Another habit is, I mean, it's embarrassing how like uber organized I am. You also have to realize that I run an events company. So, but I have like, three different planners, two different notebooks, a digital planner. Like I am so uberly organized. So I think organization, whatever that looks like for you, is super important. And then another habit that I learned very late is you got to put yourself first. Physically and mentally, you got to put yourself first. And it's kind of the principle of, when they say the plane's going down, put your life vest on and your oxygen mask first before you take care of someone else. I think that principle runs true in being a successful entrepreneur, because if you're not healthy, you can't lead a healthy team. So those would be kind of three most important habits for me. And then suggestions for leaders who want to succeed is like, find you. Like, don't listen to, other people's top 10 lists. Like, who are you? Who do you want to be? What is your company about? And kind of forge your own,
Your own identity.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Amen.
Peter wrote, we educate for free. Yes, Peter, thank you for pointing that out. All the things that we do at Total Health, which we are the largest provider of free oncology medical education in the US. Hopefully in the next 24 months or so, we'll be the largest provider of oncology education, not just oncology medical education in the US, but 100%. Everything we do is free. So if you're a learner out there, a doctor, a patient, a nurse, and you want to get, your credits, you want to get updated on the latest information, go on over to totalhealthconferencing.com, and everything we ever produce, every meeting we ever host, all of it is 100% free. We don't believe we should charge for life-changing information. I think that's one of the principles Peter's reinforcing is radical giving for us.
Radical giving. There it is again.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few minutes left there, and I think before we sign off, what would be your last words of wisdom for everybody listening, and for just anyone who's nervous about taking a risk or that next step, or trusting their gut and going for something that they've been scared to do for years and years and years? What are your words for them to kind of get them over that hump?
Yeah, you got to do it. There's a million reasons not to do it. Like there's never going to be a loss or lack of reasons in your pros cons list. You just got to do it. Like if you're going to take a chance on something, take a chance on you. It's your idea, it's your expertise or skill. It's the thing you think the gap exists for you to fill. So you just got to do it. You can't you can't even listen to the negativity in your own mind. You just got to say, all right, I'm in, I'm doing it. And
Tune it all out. Yep.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah. Well, I thank everybody for listening. We're so excited to be on this Inc. 5000 list. I actually, in the spirit of this show is called T Talks, and Sharon and I kind of came up with this because T cells are the cells in your body that help in healing, and especially in cancer. These are the things that really can help the medicines we give your body like do their best. So how do you activate T cells outside of any kind of external manipulation? You have big belly laughs you get with girlfriends, you take a date night with your husband, you play in the dirt with your kids. It's really all about that feel goodness. And I actually want to turn the tides a little bit on Andy, because as we started this interview, when we were in the green room, I said to Andy, how you doing? And she said, today was first day of preschool. And I told her, I remember first day of preschool for my son. And I remember first day in college in Texas for that same sun.
It's
And it
too
doesn't get
hard.
easier. It doesn't get easier. The time goes by so fast. But Andy,
Mhm.
I want to actually ask you to give us something that we can all hold on to for the rest of our day that will stimulate those T cells and make us feel good about the life that we're living.
Wow. You're really going to do that to me.
Especially, she said, look at my puffy eyes. I've been crying all day.
And anyone who knows me knows I am not a crier. I am like, I was not anticipating this reaction to first day of school, but it's hitting me good. So I don't even know the question. You're already getting me in my feel, so I'm just going to go ahead and say, appreciate what's in front of you. Take advantage of all opportunities. Say yes. Take the risk. Just do it. You're strong. You'll recover no matter what, or you'll go on to succeed and do great things no matter what. Just appreciate your loved ones and everything you have in life.
That is fantastic. And as Peter says, he sums it up perfectly. Thank you, Andy, for all you do for total health. I want to just stop by also saying to all of the fellow Inc. 5000 awardees, just keep grinding. $358 billion in revenue, over 1.1 million jobs. That's what only 5,000 of us are responsible for contributing. Like when you think
Incredible.
about the power of the private industry in the United States, it really is magnificent. So I just encourage all of you leaders with all the things you're balancing, keep your eyes on that. And Andy, I want to thank you for your time today, and for everyone who is watching us and watching us on the replay. Have a wonderful rest of your day.